So there are 4 domains. We've got learning about nature, we have got learning in, learning with, and learning for. So when we were doing this, we found that teachers were really good at generally learning about nature. It's kind of with the things that you might bring into your science table, etc. And a lot of it might be happening inside, your science displays, etc. And we wanted to, I suppose, take that a little deeper to thinking about those long-term inquiries around that emergent curriculum and bringing those ideas in, and those taking the children's initiative. So those questions that they're asking and where their interests are can really help drive your curriculum. And then learning in nature, again, I think especially in New Zealand we're really good at this. The children get outside in the outside environments. I think our outside environments at our centres are generally really beautiful, and we really value the nature that we try and bring into those environments. I mean, there might be some challenges around, the safety matting, etc., and the plastic grass, and I think we do need to really think about that as teachers as well. And then it's going beyond the centre gate. So just thinking about how you can, go into those wilder spaces. Where are they? But then there are also, if you're living in an urban environment, there are also other places that you can go. I know Claire Warden has talked about, going into your urban cities in their landscapes. There will still be pieces of nature in there, your parks, your waterfalls, your fountains, etc., give water. And so going and having a look at those spaces as well. Learning in nature also is about that real engagement, giving the children time. It's just not a quick visit, it's trying to make those times as uninterrupted, I suppose, by teachers' needs and wants in that space, so that the children can lead their own play and go and investigate. And the idea, I suppose, is the agency and the ability for children to really, I suppose, embrace the risk-taking. And we as teachers sometimes just have to step back and reassess how we're feeling about that, and is it our issue or is it really a safety issue for the children? Also going and visiting the same places over time. I know when I've done this with my a group of children, it's been 2 years now that we've been going, and just seeing slowly how things have developed over time and children really noticing. Like we went during the winter and one of the children goes to me, he goes, "There's just one." And I went, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Look, there's only one daisy." And it was something that I had never paid attention to. And so we brought all the other children over and we said, "Look, there's just this one daisy." Of course, then it got picked and now there were no daisies, but that's okay. And then we went for a walk a little bit further from the kind of the wilding space that we usually visit. And the same child, was walking along quite slowly. It was like, "Come on now, we need to keep up with the group." And he goes, "But look," and he picked up something off the ground. I think it was a leaf or a pine cone. And he said, "This one's different." And then we had a look and it was like, "Oh my goodness, this tree, we have not seen this tree anywhere else." And the pod that had fallen on the ground was quite a different pod from anything that we had ever seen. And it was, look up and see where it's come from, and realising it was a whole different tree there. You have to keep going back to those same spaces to see those changes over time, and giving those children time to just be in the space to notice. Okay, on to with nature. Now this is one that I know Anne has talked about, we added later, and I suppose this is about that deep connection, and what we talk about here often is that a lot of the stuff is unobservable. It's really quite hard to write about sometimes or have evidence of. It might be that the child has a longer gaze at something or says something, and it just kind of triggers something with you. Like I was on a trip once with a group, and we were the children were exploring the stream, and just one of the children just came out and she said, "I love the hour." And if I hadn't been with the EKI guide, I probably wouldn't have really appreciated that comment, but I could really see how that linked to this whole, being with nature and seeing myself as part of nature, not something above or beyond nature, that it's all part of me and where I sit. I know Claire has also written about with nature about this egocentric versus ecocentric, and I really like those words, and I suppose the dichotomy that it brings about, this whole idea of eco being about seeing ourselves as one with nature, as part of this whole ecosystem, rather than humans sitting above it. And she talks about, simple languages can make such a difference, like between using with nature, or I'm on the planet, or I'm with the planet, and those sort of changes. She also talked about othering. I think it was in connection. And one of the examples she gave was othering nature as it, and it kind of sat with me, and it was like, okay. And then I was reading another book by Robin Kimmerer, and she talked about how Western language basically devalues nature by using it, and we give personification to humans, but not to nature, like the rocks and the streams and stuff. And so this really challenged me, and so I started to use she when I was talking about the rocks and the rivers, and how it changed the way I thought and felt about nature as I was working with the children. It was really interesting. Like, that really did, I suppose, help to change my practice and challenge the way I have, I suppose, used it in my past language, thinking it was being gender neutral, which was important to me. And then bringing the whole nature based, I've had to reconsider my values and beliefs around that. So it's been really supportive of, I suppose, my practice and how that's changed. And then we've got learning for nature, and this is where we've brought in, guardianship. So you can think of kaitiakitanga, and it's got responsibility and sustainability. And I suppose these are where my passion also sits. And I suppose what really came out for me of this is about that once the children, I suppose, with being with nature, you become so passionate about it, and I think we as adults can probably see that as well. And then you take that into, I suppose, your every being. It's just like this whole responsibility that actually I need to, support and guide and care for nature, and how can I do that? And I suppose that idea that children become the spokesperson for nature when working with others, taking maybe what they've learnt from the centre out to their families, maybe composting or recycling. They're going to take what they've learnt back to their families and spread the word. And I talked about risk taking with in nature, and I think learning for nature also has there's a big risk taking there, to be able to speak up and to have courage to tell others, often older, bigger than yourselves, that this is important. I think it just takes huge courage, and I just think if we can, install that in children, I just think, what possibilities these children will have going forward into the future.